Alright, what is going on, guys? Bubbles back again, coming at you the showcase on the new Ichibe, and honestly, I have some pros and cons on this character, so we'll talk about it as we actually go through the gameplay. But for the most part, I do think that this character is an overall W, and I think that it's a better iteration from the past Ichibe, who was pretty much just a Brave Battle character that really only survived like 3 months. As after 3 months, he kind of got kicked out of Brave Battles unless you had multiple dupes into him. And yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's just get right into it, right? So he obviously is a Soul Reaper Squad 0 member, but he also has two killers. Now he has Soul Reaper and Quincy Killer, which I think is pretty good. Quincy, I think, is going to be great for Guild Quest due to his, I believe, resistance. I'm always confused as to what resistance you need for each Guild Quest, but either way, he does have Weaken on his status elements and a strong attack recharge of -12%. Going into the abilities, we did give him Focus and Full Stamina Damage Boost. I've been messing around with SP Focus, Focus Full Stamina Damage Boost, and it seems like Full Stamina Damage Boost is still the way to go. It scales better with the character links that we have here. I did try to take out Soifon for the Cacao Society. Again, was it? I tried to change it out for the Cacao Society again because he is our full stamina damage boost, but since this Soifon is max transcended, it ended up just eking out more damage than I actually even expected. Fortification Pill, the Lieutenant's Badge, as well as the Artisanal Tea Set. This gives him more Berserker. We have a great amount of full stamina damage boost, and full stamina damage boost has at the moment scaled better by approximately 10% more damage with these links than just having the SP plus 200. I'm not saying that the SP 200 is bad. I actually kind of like it a bit more because the base stats look kind of sexy. But Focus, I think, is kind of a must nowadays. With the Fortification Pill, we actually are getting over 1,000 Focus, which means that we're 100% guaranteed to crit. And I think that that's going to be huge. The ability to crit means that you're consistently dealing 20% more damage, which is it's just a better, the multipliers are just, it just scales well. Yeah, that's all that really needs to be said about it. Now, going into his actual skills, we do have Sprinter Long Stride, so this character is very fast. Paralysis Immunity, which I spoke about earlier. Now, going into the utility skills, this character has a lot going on for him. We have Marauder, so Nullify Melee Resistance, Guard Break, Weaken Defense built into his kit, which means that his Soul Bomb is going to be crazy because he has Weaken Defense and Bombardment. I don't really think you really need Weaken Defense anymore since Caleb kind of took the ability of nuking very hard GQ, and you can't really nuke too crazy in content like Epic Raids unless you're not hosting. And even then, nowadays the bosses have so much HP, you're better off just like bringing Weaken Defense to those specific characters when they're bonus, as opposed to just bringing a nuker just to nuke. Debilitator plus 5 seconds for the weakening, Frenzy plus 1. Now this is where shit gets a little weird for me. Now he has Berserker naturally of 50%. He has Frenzy plus 1 naturally, but he does have the Gauge skill and Gauge Rampage. Gauge Rampage, in my opinion, is not as strong as you'd like it to be. For me personally, I would have preferred that he just had straight up regular Rampage, because then he'd be dealing significantly more damage. But with the Frenzy plus 1 and Berserker 50%, he's going to be dealing, excuse me, he's going to be dealing pretty good damage until his gauge actually triggers. Once his gauge triggers, this man turns into a demon, and I kind of wish that they had a avatar, I wish that his sprite reflected that he was under spiritual pressure boost. He's kind of like this the entire time, even though I think that his like actual character art would be so much cooler. During his gauge, this character gets plus 100% strong attack damage, which will scale separately from his regular Berserker. So instead of getting 150% Berserker, he's getting 50% Berserker and then 100% of a different type of Berserker that just scales completely different. Just essentially picture this times 2 damage on your strong attacks. He gets Frenzy plus 2, so his strong attacks get an extra hit. So not only is he going to be dealing significantly more damage, he's going to also get more hits on top of those numbers. So his numbers kind of go a bit crazy. We'll talk about the numbers as we get into it. Innate skills, we talked about the Sprinter Long Stride. Skill start gauge, he starts at 70%, which means that you're popping off your gauge off rip very, very easily. You can build up your gauge meter while your gauge is depleting, which I think is really important to note. Gauge effect, strong attack recharge 30% is always nice because that's going to help you get your gauge significantly quicker over and over again. And then if the Berserker 100% Frenzy +1 wasn't enough for the gauge, he's also picking up Spiritual Pressure Boost 50%. And this is why I don't really like this character's design. It's not that he's not strong. I think he's excellent. My problem is he deals so much more damage for a limited time, and even if you can keep the uptime relatively high, it's still kind of annoying. Like, say for example you're going up against let's say you're doing Inheritance Trial, which you won't normally bring him here, but say you're doing Inheritance Trial, you use all your strong attacks, this, your gauge falls off as a boss comes in. Now you're dealing minimal damage compared to what you could be dealing literally in about maybe like 10-15 seconds if you just really if you just like pop off your strong attacks. You have to play this character in a specific way, and that's not always a good thing, because it's just a restriction that some other characters just don't have, right? Like you have Gin here with Frenzy +2 off rip, while this Ichibe needs to unlock it, right? So like it is very easy to unlock 1, 2, and if I actually kill something with that second strong attack, we would have actually hit the gauge off this. But this 10 seconds will go to like 2. Yep, there you go. Third strong attack. Now let's just talk about the damage, right? Actually, you know what? We'll talk about the damage numbers in the IZ playthrough. If we don't proc a status element here, we're literally losing 80% of our damage, which I think is kind of annoying. We don't have immunity here either, which I think kind of sucks. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Go through the middle. Really? I'm bad at this game, excuse me. Now the first strong attack is the 750 Vacuum Explosion. And that's another thing I know. I find myself using attacks that I wouldn't normally use just to try to proc this strong attack recharge, just to try to proc my gauge. I'm gonna heal back to full in a bit. Nope. That's what I get for playing passively. Now with the Spiritual Pressure boost and the gauge, obviously you're going to be dealing significantly more damage. Boom. You'll see here that we did 127,000 damage to these enemies, and that's before we even proc a status element. Bro, why is his lower lip so big and thick, bro? He looking like he doing the Kylie Jenner challenge. I'm not gonna lie, like that's too much, man. All right, let's take him into IZ, see what he can do here. Now I don't have ×5 runs here because, like I said, I was playtesting him earlier, but I do want to talk about his like actual damage numbers. I just didn't want to calculate it in IT just because the damage numbers would be a bit inconsistent. Now let's just get right into it. First strong attack is going to be the Vacuum Explosion. Second strong attack is going to be the 3K length beam. And the third strong attack is a standard full screen third strong attack. Now, you can't proc your gauge with anything but your first 3 strong attacks, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this. Now, we did 30k, 74k, 66k, right? So, 30... Okay. I already forgot the numbers, feels bad. So first strong attack, you'll see here that we deal about 11,000 damage. So I'm gonna make note of this. I'll actually put it in a notepad right here, that way we can actually keep track. So 11,000 damage, and that's gonna be our strong attack 1. Our second strong attack, I believe, will deal roughly 26,000. Yeah, 26.6k. Very good damage numbers, to be honest, right? And then our third strong attack is going to deal roughly 22 to 23,000 damage. 23,000, we'll do that. Now, the first strong attack is going to hit quite a lot of times, and it's going to hit twice the amount of hits that a normal first strong attack would hit because of the 2-part action of it. Now, since he has Frenzy +1, this second strong attack is going to hit a total of, I believe it's 4 normally, so it should hit, let me just pull this up, screw it. Second strong attack, 9 hits, 6 hits. Yeah, it should be 6 hits. 6 hits. And then this would be normally 4 hits, but with the way that it's calculated, it'll be 8 hits since it does have more hits because of the vacuum vortex. And then the third strong attack is almost always 8 hits, which even though the numbers that you see are lower than the second strong attack, it's almost always more, it's literally always more damage. So if we do this, 11,000, that's gonna be 88k. Second strong attack is gonna be 26,600 times 6, 159,000, which, yeah, that sounds about right, 59k. And then the third hit's gonna be 23 times 8, 184k. It's usually how it lines up. Now, when we pop off our... This is where we get like crazy numbers. 33,000 there. 75. 65. Let's speed up a little bit. Yeah, 31,000. Alright, so I'm gonna actually pause this so I don't get hit. So 3175, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I already forgot the last one, but we can literally just do the math here. It's pretty much triple damage, right? We did do a 33k. I'll do 32.2 to just be fair. I feel like that'll be, nah, you know, let's just round it to 32k. He just hits so hard, and I think that that's definitely important to note, because you'll see in the next run that we do, I'll try to just kill as fast as possible and try to keep the gauge up as we play, because obviously me stopping this is he's gonna drop his spiritual pressure boost and all that. So even though he does have the berserker 100%, that's gonna double his damage, but the spiritual pressure boost 50% is gonna increase his damage by a lot as well. So if we actually take let's see here, let's do the 32 divided by 11, and then we multiply this by the initial 23,000. That's going to be the 66.9, and that's actually about what I remember seeing. We're going to take 67k for the third strong attack. We're getting frenzy plus 1 on that, which means that these hits are going to get multiplied even further, right? So let's do this. So the first strong attack, instead of doing 8 hits, is actually going to do 12 now, because it's getting 1 extra hit when it originally would be 4. It's going to 8, then with frenzy plus 2, it's going to go to 12. This is going to actually go from 6 to 9, and then the 8 hits to 12 as well. And now we're going to actually calculate this in. So 32,000 times 12. This first strong attack, when his thing is active, like the gauge is active, we get the berserker 100%, the spiritual pressure boost, the frenzy plus 1. This is actually going to deal 384k damage, and that's actually insane in terms of just damage calcs, right? So 384,000 divided by 88, we're essentially dealing an extra 436% damage just because our gauge triggered. And this is my criticism towards it. I'm not calling it bad, I'm calling it inconsistent, just because you can't have this up 100% of the time. And when that happens, it's not really, I don't want to call this character bad, because that's not what I'm trying to say. Is it can just be a bit frustrating, because it is what it is. I don't know. Personally, like, if I'm eating a bowl of cereal and a couple of the cereal bits that I'm eating are like covered in salt instead of sugar, it can just be a bit annoying, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll still eat, I'll still finish my bowl. I'll be happy with my bowl as long as, you know, it's edible. But sometimes your mama decide to put a little too much salt on your fish, you know what I'm saying? So 804k over here, and these damage numbers are, in my opinion, fucking crazy for a 1 out of 5 character. Like, okay, maybe they're not like insanely OP over the top or whatever, but these are very, very good numbers in terms of top tier characters. It's just weird because you'll see, like, all right, like say we start with the gauge, right? Stand here, that way we get all the hits in. We got the gauge mechanic triggered on lock. We're gonna get our third strong attack immediately. We're gonna do this, we're gonna pop this, and now we have half our gauge going into the next room. But by the time you get your gauge, like maybe like 3 times, the run's kind of over, and hopefully you can speed run. In content like IT or very hard GQ, he's gonna struggle getting kills off. Not really to trigger the gauge, but he's gonna struggle to get kills off, and that I feel like Gauge Rampage, it's cool in theory. I think it's cool to look at, but in practice, I think it's kind of unnecessary. Like I said, I'm not calling it bad. It's definitely nice to have, especially if you can like do something like this, where you literally just like obliterate, and then you have your first strong attack to trigger. Now you have your second and third strong attack. Without the Gauge Rampage, you can't do that. You need to use 3 strong attacks, or you need to use your NAD in order to allow access to that. I don't know how to explain it. You just can't do that with a normal Gauge character. So I can definitely appreciate that. But you have to be, in my opinion, a bit more resourceful and manage your resources more. Which, this might sound weird because I sound like I'm complaining about it, which I think can be a bit more fun than just, I deal big dick damage, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of like the interactiveness of it. Alright, we're gonna do that. Alright, 50,400. Let's take that. Now, he has Bombardment. Remember that he doesn't have Devastation, so 50,400. We do have the Spiritual Pressure Boost. We did trigger that before we popped our Soul Bomb. And he also has Weakened Defense as well as Weakening. So times 1.3, times 1.5. And this is without a boost. This is full stamina damage boost. Multiplies by 7 plus the initial 5,400. Boom. 738,000. Now, like I said, I personally wouldn't put Weakened Defense on him to have double Weakened Defense. I think that running him full stamina damage boost focus is probably going to be the way to go. And overall, I think he's a good character. He's fun, and he can keep his gauge up for a significantly longer time than I expected him to. And I think that that's huge for a character like this. Like I said, I have my criticisms. I'm not going to gaslight and be like, oh my god, it's the best character in the world. Aside from the title, because those honestly just get more clicks. It is what it is. You know, the amount of times like people will comment when they normally wouldn't comment. Hey, you think this is the best character? Nah, but hey, I'm gonna put in the title, and hopefully someone who doesn't even watch the video just comments and complains like a little bitch. Like, it is what it is, bro. We all complain like little bitches every now and then. Sometimes you just want to be a little Karen and watch the world burn.